All right, folks, we are live. Welcome into Fandom Menace tonight, or good evening pop culture, whatever the hell you want to call it. Just welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jeff, of World Class Bullshitters, and tonight we have a pretty packed show. So stop what you're doing, get prepared, and let's have some fun. So first off, folks, it is Monday. It is the first show of the week. So how was your weekend? Mine was spent watching Burn Notice and getting prepared for channel work, making videos, X, Y, and Z. But it was a good weekend. So let's see who's in the chat and give a hail to our friend Cash Kester, Ricardo Martinez, excuse me. Nerdigans Incorporated, hail to D. James Baker. Hello, Wrecked Remedy. Hail to Levon Media. We have our friend Alexander the Great, Sinbad the Pirate, all kinds of, Mr. Comic Fan, Zvile Wolf Reviews and more. Hello. Kelvin Schubert. And we'll give our final hail to our friend, Breadman Productions. So everyone in the chat, hello. How are you doing this evening? It is 10 o'clock, your neck of the woods, 7 o'clock, my neck of the woods. It means it's the right time to discuss this. So we're going to be talking about Daredevil. I like Daredevil. We don't have anything to talk about that. We're talking about Deadpool. We're going to talk about some Star Wars news, all sorts of things. So be prepared. So first off, let's start off with something kind of light. Normally we kind of dive into the main topic, but I wanted to cover one thing briefly because it surprised me. So I don't know about you guys and girls out there, ladies, if you're a fan of Popeye, not the chicken, but the Sailor Man. And a couple of years ago, there was a Popeye film in production, and apparently it's coming back. So this was over at Sony. Now, the reason I brought this up is because I wanted to start the show with a good laugh. This CGI animated Popeye film was going to be made, but it was pushed aside, pushed back. Essentially, it was canceled at one point in time, so Sony could make Ghostbusters 2016. Yes, Ghostbusters 2016 was far more important to Sony than the possible Popeye film. Now, does that make it instantly better? Well, it's compared against Ghostbusters 2016, so of course it's going to be instantly better. But I'm excited for this. I don't like the Robin Williams film. I know, blasphemy. I don't like a Robin Williams film. Sorry, I also think Bicentennial Man's dog shit. But I am excited for this. I grew up watching the cartoons. They were fun. They're a nice callback to a time well before my time. And I hope they do this right. I hope that this film comes out and I don't want a bunch of old animation characters to come back. Sometimes we just need new properties, but something like this could be refreshing. It's worked in the past with the Addams Family, so hopefully moving forward it works again with Popeye. But I just wanted a small little lead in as the race continues outside of my apartment. Thank you very much, NASCAR. Well, streetcar. So let's see. Do we have a lot of people that are the Emoji Movie? Okay, maybe it's the Emoji Movie. Sorry, that was the one I made a mistake. But there's still Sony, right? Ghostbusters and the Emoji Movie. There we go. So it was Ghostbusters and the Emoji Movie, which I remember everyone thinking the Emoji Movie was going to suck, and it did. How much did the Emoji Movie do at the box office? So that's a 2017 film, and was it a success? Yes, it was a success, sadly. Budget of $50 million, brought in $217 million. Yay. Anyway, it sits at 7% on Rotten Tomato. Screw this movie. But yeah, Popeye. That's coming soon to a theater near you, so there's a little bit of good news. But let's talk about tonight's main topic, Deadpool 3. So I have a very strong stance on Deadpool, and it's never been a surprise here on the channel. If you would have met me when the show first started back in 2015, I didn't like Deadpool as a character. I had some very strong opinions on him, mainly because of the fan base. Now, if you've been a longtime Deadpool fan, awesome. I'm not here to rip on you. None of the shows that exist on this channel are here to rip on you for having a differing opinion, a different take, liking something differently than I do. That's never been our channel stance. But my take on Deadpool early on was that he was low-hanging fruit for comic fans. And I realized that is true. That is also very false. Once the film came out in 2016, my whole stance on Deadpool changed. Not only did they deliver a fun, quippy, violent, bloody film, but they also developed a solidly good film. There was a lot of good messages and themes throughout Deadpool. Great characters, great moments. I don't think you'll ever be able to recapture the magic that is Deadpool 2 and 1 and 2, with Disney at the reins. And now we have a little more confirmation. Now people are thinking, oh, it's not confirmed. I'm waiting for X, Y, and Z to say at the top. Well, guess what? X, Y, and Z at the top told you there was going to be a Star Wars movie every other year from an Avatar film and all this other shit. So until I see it, I don't believe anything. But I do believe people that have a little bit of insider information, because Rob Liefeld, the co-creator of Deadpool, I almost said Daredevil again. Had to correct myself. But we have Rob Liefeld news. So let's talk about that briefly. And I want to hear your guys' take, because I'm looking to have a discussion about Deadpool. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Was it everything you wanted it to be? Well, for me, it definitely was. So Deadpool 3 delay is Marvel's fault, claims comic co-creator Rob Liefeld. If there's someone to blame for Deadpool 3's delay, it is Marvel Studios. This according to Rob Liefeld, who co-created the Merc with a Mouth for Marvel Comics. It has seemed like Disney and Marvel are committed to keeping Ryan Reynolds on board as Deadpool following the merger. But there's been little to no official movement on another movie since the deal was finalized. As Liefeld tells it, this is squarely on Marvel's shoulders. And this is Rob Liefeld quoted directly. I blame Marvel. Blame Marvel. That it hasn't happened yet. They are the reason this isn't happening. Whatever conundrum or it didn't fit into your master plan, just commission it. Okay? Commission it. You know, if Frank Frazetta was still around, you would say, Frank, paint it for me. Ryan Reynolds recently said that he sees infinite possibilities for Deadpool, be it part of the MCU or its own thing. Ryan Reynolds has made playful jokes about the famously R-rated character being part of the Disney family, but Disney comes with baggage. Can an R-rated character fit into the MCU? How does Deadpool 3 fit into the studio's larger plans? Speaking further, Rob Liefeld touches on this as well. If Ryan is making Deadpool 3 right now, that's because Marvel hasn't allowed it to be yet. That's all I'm saying. So do I have a lot of faith in the system? Dude, I have no idea. So there's this. So this is where I'm not. What the hell kind of quote is it? So this is where I'm not that. Whatever. Anyway, Rob Liefeld goes to talk about, specifically this article doesn't quote it. He talks about Marvel's stupid master plan. Let me pull up the Bounding into Comics one, because they go into more specifics about this. Because Rob Liefeld has goes into a little more detail. So he says, where is it at? Yes, so prepared. Excuse me, folks. He says, Liefeld then questioned Feige's plans for the future of the MCU. I'm not really crazy about Marvel's plan right now. It's the first time I go, hey, Feige, did you ever have a plan? Your plan was the Eternals and Shang-Chi and Black Widow? Those were your plans? He continues. So they close the door. Chris Evans says goodbye. Robert Downey Jr. says goodbye. Black Widow falls off a cliff, says goodbye. They almost had to lose Tom Holland to Sony. But you're a genius. You're a genius, Marvel. Liefeld then adds, look, today making Deadpool would take 4 years. I can't get excited about that. I think that is the answer. I can't gloss it up. Oh, yeah, golly gee. So I really brought this to everyone's attention tonight, not really to bitch about Marvel per se and not no Deadpool, but to talk about their future plan. I wonder what their future plan is, because we always talk about the woke diversity stuff, and that's fine. That is a very valid point to be made with a lot of these creative decisions. But the thing that I'm at a loss for is to talk about how, what am I trying to get at? What Marvel's plans were outside of looking good to the media for Phase 4. Because I'm with Rob Liefeld. The Eternals look, it sounds stupid in theory. It won't be as well received as everyone says. And I'm so tired of everybody out in the media going, but they said that about Guardians of the Galaxy, and look how popular it is. Look, folks, they also said that about Jared Leto's Joker, and look how bad that is. There's just these arguments that the geekdom always sits on. It's, we can't judge a Batman actor because Michael Keaton had so many letters written back in the day. Okay, that's fine. But there's going to be a point where that argument doesn't hold water anymore. We're already at that point with Joker, because everyone's like, well, Jared Leto should be, given a chance because how great Heath Ledger's unconventional role was, his casting. And then we get to it, and it wasn't good. So that kind of falls apart. But if I'm somebody that either is a fan of Marvel, has worked at Marvel, has a history with Marvel, you definitely know there are lesser Marvel characters. Marvel isn't a brand where every character has the same value. That's why a lot of people question Captain Marvel. They question Captain Marvel because it's like, really, Captain Marvel is going to be your big player moving forward? She's not that popular in the books. I mean, last week on the show, when we covered it, we talked about how Captain Marvel sales dropped. She went from number 1 to number 100 or something. You can go back and watch the stream. It's archived. But you have these lesser than Marvel IPs, and I got a question to myself as a fan: why is Marvel going this route when you do have you have the X-Men, you have Fantastic Four, you have other things that we could be at least excited for? You don't have to say, well, guys, they're not in production now, so don't worry about it. You could at least say, like, well, they're coming, and we have a couple big things for the next, just give us something. Give us a drop, a bit, a crumb, something to look forward to. Because right now, it's a bunch of crap. In the Marvel lineup over on Disney Plus is probably the most exciting thing to look forward to. WandaVision could be funky and different. And Captain, I don't want to keep calling him Captain Falcon. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier could be awesome if it's done right. They got to be on the road. There's a lot to talk about with that show. There's a lot to unpack. But I do fear for the X-Men as we've moved away further from the 2000s Brett Ratner, well, he did direct number 3, Bryan Singer films that he created, that universe, that world. I've been getting heavily into some of the classic X books, and I'm thinking, will Marvel be able to recapture that tone of the X-Men? If they're thinking, well, you don't need to capture that tone. Marvel's tone is its original, and we should always follow the Marvel tone. Should we, though? If you're a Spider-Man fan, look me dead in the eye and tell me that Spider-Man's properly represented in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Can't. Because it's not. It's he's a character that has been changed and I'd say butchered to appeal to a demographic that wouldn't dislike the version that came before. To me, Spider-Man is change for the sake of change. X-Men will be change for the sake of change, which will be a great offense to the brand and the IP, however you want to break it down, because there's the talk that they don't want to use the phrase X-Men. It's X-people. X-Men, means it's all men, blah, blah, blah. It's also called Mankind. So let's just get over ourselves, Mary Sue feminists. We'll worry about that moving forward. But we have all of this, all these great properties to pull from, all these great possibilities, and we're going with Shang-Chi and the Eternals. And I don't think Rob Liefeld's the greatest artist in the world. I don't think he's the most intellectual person in the world, but he's fun to listen to. He likes comics, and he knows better than a lot of us would because, he's in the loop for a lot of this shit. So I thought that a Deadpool 3 in the Marvel Universe would never work. I've been one of those people that says to myself, I'd rather be without than have a lesser version, unless they pull the Freddy Got Fingered approach. Now you're thinking, what does Freddy Got Fingered have to do with it? Well, true believers, there's a PG-rated version of Freddy Got Fingered on the DVD, and it's all of 2 minutes long. So if they do a truncated Deadpool, they might have even done it on the Deadpool disc. And if they did, Freddy Got Fingered, also from Fox, did it first in 2001. So this isn't me riffing off a Deadpool trope. This is a Freddy Got Fingered trope. But they could do a truncated, a very blatant PG. Like, Deadpool should be overtly PG if they're going to put him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they should have it be obvious that he's censored and all these things to basically draw attention that it's not the real Deadpool. And then if I can just make him have his own movies, still be rated R, put him under the 20th Century Fox banner, do something, but don't lose that tone. That was something magical they had. Ryan Reynolds is the right creative voice behind it. You could argue Tim Miller as well, but Deadpool 2 wasn't directed by Tim Miller, and it was still a damn good film. Not as good as the first, but a pretty solid sequel. It's a lot like, I'm trying to give a good example, because I almost said Die Hard and Die Hard 2, but that's not fair. I'd say it's a lot like Beverly Hills Cop to Beverly Hills Cop 2. Some could argue it's better than the original, but I'd say the original pulls it out in so many more ways. They did let's see. Didn't they try to do PG-13 Deadpool with Once Upon a Deadpool? I completely forgot that even existed. Once Upon a Deadpool was not in my wheelhouse. Admittedly, I had no desire to go check it out, so I didn't. I figured I bought the movie, and yes, I did pay for those Blu-rays, Deadpool 1 and 2. That's not one of those, maybe one day or I'll watch it on streaming. I felt compelled to own it. When Hasbro releases the figures from Deadpool 2, I'll probably pick them all up because they did a damn fine job. Yes, Ben Hall, we can't agree. Beverly Hills Cop 3 is garbage. Beverly Hills Cop 3 is the absolute worst Beverly Hills Cop film. Maybe the worst Eddie Murphy film. Okay, no, that's a stretch. But it's terrible. It's terrible. So, that is where we are with the Deadpool stuff. I thought that's a good way to start the week. Why not? A little bit of bad news, a little bit of good news. And how about a little bit of some funny news? Well, no, before we get into the funny news, let's talk politics. Yes, I just said it here on the channel. Now, this was over on Bounding Into Comics. I just want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. We might cover this briefly on the High Council. And if you notice, I haven't brought up Boba Fett or anything like that. We're saving it for Jesse's channel tonight. We have a debate. Jesse and I are going to debate Boba Fett and The Mandalorian Season 2. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? I'm not going to tell you what side I'm taking. I'm not going to tell you what side Jesse's taking. You're going to have to join us over there on our stream because it's going to be, opening statements, rebuttals, X, Y, and Z. You guys can jump in and tell us who you think argued better, debated better. But we're going to have that kind of debate over on her channel tonight because it's a more nuanced topic. And I don't think it's as interesting for me to just talk about it and have silence. I think it's a discussion more so than something to report on.
Shit gets crazy when we debate. We might even throw cats. Who knows?
Shit does get crazy when we debate. We might throw cats. We might throw a sofa at each other. We don't even have a sofa. I'm just going to find one to throw at you. But
our futon is a sofa-like.
Our futon is it's a Davenport. We're classy. But yeah, folks, we're going to talk about that tonight over on Mindless Entertainment. Is the stream up? I'll share the link real quick. Well, first off, we have our first super chat of the night from our friend Ham Sandwich. He says, Disney Plus prop culture. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Worth watching it just for the Rick Moranis interview. Show is good. Props are all gone. All CGI nowadays. That is a good topic, good thing to cover real quick. I do discuss Disney Plus and their shortcomings, in my opinion. A lot of the things they put out aren't even anything new to put out. A lot of the things that are on Disney Plus, it's just, hey, remember this from when you were a kid, or it's a fairly decent collection of stuff from the 90s. But overall, Disney Plus and their original content, it's been hit and miss. I will say prop culture seems like an awesome concept. I have seen it, the little picture pop up a couple of times because Jesse and I were on Mary Mayhem's stream the other night. We were drinking, and so we put Star Wars on for a minute to kind of cleanse the palate before dinner. I don't know why, but we did. But I did see that on there, and I'm aware of it. I think it's cool to see Rick Moranis come back. All of my Disney ruined Star Wars or the Marvel Cinematic Universe or whatever, I'm not too excited for. That all stands. But it is cool to see Rick Moranis come back. He was a huge staple of not even the late 80s, just the 80s, early 90s. I mean, obviously his role as Louis Tully in Ghostbusters is iconic. Dark Helmet. Could be his best role. I mean, in the chat right now, drop that. What is your favorite Rick Moranis role? I'm going to go with Dark Helmet. Wayne Zielinski's cool, but I don't really have the same affinity for Honey, I Shrunk the Kid that a lot of people do. And we're going to be talking about something cool from the 90s in a moment as well. But let's see. Boba Fett. Well, I wrote Bob Fett. So Boba Fett. Yeah. Bait.
That should be a sitcom.
Bob Fett.
Should be
Bob A. Fett.
Oh. Bob Fett and children.
I'd watch a show about Bob A. Fett. He after the battle at Jabba's, the Sarlacc pit, he crawls out. He becomes an accountant.
It's about him trying to adjust to normal life. Bob A. Fett.
I know you don't watch.
He moonlights as a Mandalorian still.
I like that idea.
Time.
I know you don't really do Robot Chicken Star Wars, but there's a skit about Ponda Baba after he lost his arm at the cantina. It turns out he was an architect and he can't work anymore because he lost his arm thanks to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And all he was doing was asking him a question, but Obi-Wan doesn't speak his language.
Oh, is that the same one where it's like his friend gets him into this shit because he mistranslates?
Yeah, I think so. Unless that's Family Guy.
It's a comic strip. I don't know. I think someone might have said it was for Robot Chicken. But,
okay. Yeah. Robot Chicken definitely did some shit like that.
His friend just straight throws him under the bus because he's just trying to say, like, excuse me, like, you have something on your shirt or whatever. And his friend mistranslates it on purpose and he gets his fucking arm cut off.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But Ham Sandwich, I will check it out. And I do want to talk about, too, props. I know there are some screen use props that a lot of collectors want to get their hands on. There are some lesser ones that people pick up. But they're with the exception of stuff produced for like advertising, there's not a real Iron Man suit that a collector could, pick up at auction. You can still pick up a classic Spider-Man costume. Warner Brothers went out of their way to not reassemble, but as what's a good word? Not remaster, because it's not a film. But they went back and they fixed up the old bat suits. They found similar types of latex. They repaired them. They did a whole video on it, actually. It was really cool. They went back and they repaired the 89 suit and maybe all the classic ones in one video. All I know is it was neat to see. But yeah, we're reaching a point though. It's like, oh, do you want to own Star-Lord's mask? Well, it's CGI in the movie, so there's no mask to own. Or Superman's cape isn't a thing anymore because they CGI with markers. So they do these little things like that. And yeah, the classic props are going to be gone. I mean, if you could own a film prop, what would it be?
Film prop?
Yeah.
God, that's a tough one.
I mean, I would like to own a model of the Millennium Falcon.
That would be cool. It would be a toss-up between the Millennium Falcon or Han's blaster or...
Remember, you could never own the one from A New Hope because they returned it.
I know. There's like a blaster, like one of Han's blasters. I still remember when he was selling it. Was it one of his? No, it was like the Force Awakens jacket that he sold. And I was like, yeah, fuck that.
Force Awakens. But did you see many years ago when Indiana Jones' hat and jacket went up for auction? He came out and did it himself.
And it went for ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's Indiana Jones and it's him there too. I mean, you got to think like it's a collector that's going to buy it. They're a huge fan of the film. Then seeing him there with it, that's going to entice you to go like, he's here. I got to buy it. So I'm sure winning it includes if you're in person, you did an auction online, includes a handshake and a picture probably and all that shit. So that'd be a cool prop.
Absolutely. It's that or like something from Lord of the Rings, like one of the swords or.
Would you, if you had a prop from Lord of the Rings, would you play with it or would you just keep it in the case?
God, I would play with it all the time. Depends on what it was. If it was like the One Ring, that would stay in case. But if it was like a sword or something, I'd wait for that.
If it was if my prop was like a Star Wars blaster or something, I probably would take it out and like fake shoot it or run around and shit.
Well, I have an awesome Mountain Reynolds replica gun. That got played with a lot. That's not how it got broken. It got broken with cats and threw it on the ground like assholes.
Not shit pancake though, right?
Not shit pancake. It was pretty shit pancake.
Pretty shit pancake.
Stuff is fun. Looking at it, you can really do so much fun looking at it. It's fun waving it around. Yeah.
The worst would be like a lightsaber hilt because all you would do is make the sound effect and you would never get like the whole appeal of like, I'm going to swing around a lightsaber. Headcase Laboratory, thank you very much for Super Chat. He says, hey, World Class, I was wondering, since I'm an up-and-coming comic book creator, I was wondering if you would review one or a couple of my books. Sure. If you want me to review it, I can give you the P.O. box, or if it's digital, you can just email us. Headcase Laboratory, if you're on Twitter, shoot me a DM over there with this information. And yeah, I could gladly do that for you. I'd like to see what you got. Just as a fan, it'd be fun to read. So that's my, that's my whole stance on it. So I'm really excited to check out your stuff. And I'll get to make a comic announcement this week, finally. And people are like, why is it taking so long? Well, guess what? You'll get an announcement at the latest Thursday night show. So be prepared. It's going to be awesome. So let's see. What are people's things they would like? People are laughing at the refurbished, restored. Restored's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, by the way. Let's see. David Hervey would like to own the 89 Batmobile as well as the Sentinel. Those are excellent choices. Sinbad the Pirate would like a big model Millennium Falcon. I don't even need like the biggest one. Maybe like something that's like equivalent to a foot Millennium Falcon model that's used in the film would be good enough for me. But I mean, if I had the space, I want the exact model that was used in A New Hope, the one that went into the Death Star corridor, the little doorway. That'd be cool. We have Luke's lightsaber, Boba Fett's jetpack, Leia's bikini, Obi-Wan's lightsaber. You'd want Padme Amidala. I'm sure she's a prop you could have for no amount of money. Natalie Portman, she bows to no man or woman. See, if you wanted a Padme Amidala prop, you'd have to feed her and talk to her, and if you get caught, you're going to jail for 25 to life. There we go. So, The football from the room, excellent choice. And Head Case Laboratory, thank you. You're very welcome. All you need to do is just contact me, and we'll make it happen. Ooh, Rocketeer's jetpack. Nerf Clacks, Rocketeer is an underappreciated film in my book. It's not the greatest show ever, but it's definitely, or greatest movie ever, but it's definitely fun, and Jennifer Connelly has never looked better. Ooh, somebody in the chat says they want the Supernatural car. That'd be fun. I'd drive that every day.
67 Chevy Impala?
Yeah.
They've had, obviously, there's a bunch of different ones. Some are functional for actual cars, and those just use the chassis.
Maybe one day we'll just buy one. Just like, fuck it, let's get a Supernatural car.
That's the cool thing, too, is you can just get a 67 black Chevy Impala.
That's my favorite thing about James Bond collectibles. They're just real-world things. If you want to pay through the nose, you can get an Aston Martin. You can get an old Rolex Submariner. You can get all the shit he had. And you can get suits made just like that. It's not like Star Wars. You have to get, like, there's one. Yeah, it's custom. So I just pulled this up. I thought this was interesting because today I saw it today that Mark Hamill on Twitter was done playing Luke Skywalker. He said it's done, it's over and done with. And then I saw Mark Hamill urge his followers to vote for Joe Biden. And I was just like, okay, what a weird flip of the switch. Now, I'm not worried about his personal politics. I love Mark Hamill. If I ever meet you, a handshake is going to happen unless you're, weird about germs and shit like Howie Mandel. But I don't care about Mark Hamill, his political views. And I really don't need his input or his recommendations. It's just kind of a thing. And I'm like, yo, you're Luke Skywalker. You have power in the movie. In the real world, you're just a dude. Your opinion's as valid as mine, which is as valid as anybody else's in the world. So I always talk about celebrities and their politics and how they endorse it. And I'm not the biggest fan because people say, well, Jeff, they're a person just like you. Don't they have the same constitutional rights? Yes, they do. And I would never argue that they don't. My problem is a celebrity has power. And sometimes, what's the old phrase? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now, Mark Hamill clearly doesn't have absolute power, or else he'd have Harrison Ford's career. But the thing he does have is a lot of people look to him, and for some reason they equate his work on Star Wars with wisdom, with this, with that. And I just urge people, remember, if you agree with Mark Hamill and you're going to vote one way, cool. We still want you here involved with the community. But he's just a guy who reads a script. He's not this know-it-all, this powerful being, this entity, this wise Jedi. He's just a dude named Mark. And that's all I've heard. Or that's all I can say about it, realistically. I'm not here to chop him down, to tear him down, to talk shit about him. I'm a fan of Mark Hamill. I like his work, but I don't care about his political views. I mean, The Rock himself could knock on our door and say, hey, Jeff, vote for Joe Biden in 2020. I'd be like, Rock, I don't need your personal take. Will you sign my action figure and my poster before you go, though? And that's it. I mean, that's all I have to say about him. Anything you want to add about a celebrity using their political or their power to promote politics?
Look, I mean, the reality is you can. If you want to promote politics, do it. The thing that I think people sometimes hold celebrities to different standards in the sense where they're like, you're a celebrity, so you're not allowed to have an opinion. Like, you're allowed to have an opinion, just don't assume that your opinion somehow holds more weight because of who you are. That's all. There you go.
I think that's a good truncated way of what I'm trying to say. Because I'm also trying to read the chat. People are talking about James Bond cars, and I'm getting really excited. By the way, James Bond's submarine car was just a model. It was a quarter scale model or something like that? Because I've seen him do the effect, Mr. Dystopian. So if you're looking to get a Lotus Esprit that can turn into a submarine, I hate to break it to you, but they used effects for it. But that's a good choice, though. Kara Companion, what's up, man? I see you in the chat. I feel like I know what prop you would like, but I'm not gonna, how about the gun that killed Brandon Lee? Nerf Clacks, I saw an excellent documentary I would like to recommend everyone check out. If you have Shudder, awesome. Watch everything you can on Shudder because they put out good stuff. If you don't, think about giving it a month subscription just to check out the series called Cursed Films. Let me show you guys an image of it because I really can't recommend the service enough if you enjoy horror, and I also can't recommend this documentary series enough if you're just a person and you enjoy anything, really. As a guy that enjoys horror, as a guy that enjoys real life tragedy on film sets, and I don't mean I enjoy that they happen, I just mean I love to hear the story behind it because everybody knows the aftermath. Everybody knows what went down, the inciting incident, but no one knows what happened beat by beat before, unless you were on the set. Because if it's just a normal day, it's business as usual. There's nothing to report on. Only the tragic event makes it a notable day. And so here's the image right here. Shudder original series, Cursed Films. Can't recommend it enough. And let me give you guys a brief description of what they cover on here. Because if I say, oh, watch this, and you go, okay, I'll watch it, that's cool and all. But I want to tell you what's on the show. So it is a 5-episode series. It might have more. So far, I've watched the only 5 that exist. Yeah, it's all 5. Never mind. And there's a free 7-day trial, so I highly recommend it. But the first episode was on The Exorcist, and they talk about, was it a cursed set, X, Y, and Z. I don't want to spoil anything that they talk about. Episode 2 was about Poltergeist. Episode 3 was about The Omen. Now, episode 4 was about The Crow, and they go to the prop master. They explain exactly how Brandon Lee died, and there was always, I don't want to say the show demystifies anything, but it's a great series to show you exactly what went down. There's a lot of rumor and aura that goes around these myths, but it's nice to have the people that were on set, the people that did it, the people that were responsible there in the room, being interviewed. And this isn't just one of those documentary series that is like, oh, we got the DP and we got the second unit director. Like when they do the Omen documentary, they got Richard Donner, the man that directed the film. Richard Donner, you don't get any bigger than that in Hollywood. If you look at his work, I mean, we're talking, this guy's in the same caliber, or he's the same caliber as a Steven Spielberg or a James Cameron. He's just of a different era. But it doesn't mean he wasn't as impactful. I mean, Superman the movie itself really cemented his work as, forever. And we can throw in Lethal Weapon and Goonies and Omen, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, the episode of The Twilight Zone, all that stuff. But speaking of Twilight Zone, they also do, the last episode was The Twilight Zone. And if you don't know, John Landis, the man who directed one of the segments, his segment, there was an accident where the lead actor and 2 child actors were killed on set, and they actually show you the footage of them dying in this documentary. I'm not saying you want to watch it, but it was for a court case, and it's just a really, really great series that I recommend you guys check out. And sorry that it was a long diatribe about that, but I saw that and I thought you guys should check it out. I haven't seen this Tom Savini documentary, Sinbad the Pirate, but I definitely will. I'm a huge fan of Tom Savini. Actually met Tom Savini at Horror Hound a couple years ago. And the funny thing is he was coming to our table. Now, I'm not acting like we're these big celebrities. Don't take it like I let my ego get to me, especially 2 years ago when our channel was where it was. But we have catchy signage. I design it all myself. I make it look like the GTA, and we got like the nicest stuff printed out and prepared. And so we had this really big, probably the 6-foot stand up with our faces and the GTA style. We had our table laid out. We had stuff, and it caught his eye. It also caught Judge Reinhold's eye, and superfan Adam Shawhan can attest to that. He was there with me. But the table, a lot of people would come up, and so he came over and kind of looked at it, was reading to see what we were about. But Dion, he never came back because Dion kept screaming "sex machine" at him, and that's his character from Dusk Till Dawn, and his cock gun and all that stuff. So I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, oh, we could have talked to him more. But everyone was like geeking out, so he kind of went off. But it was fun. Speaking of Conan's sword, I believe Rob Liefeld, the man who talked about Deadpool 3, owns that sword. It was in Wizard Magazine many years ago. Thank you, Matt G, for your super sticker. Greatly appreciate you, man. Thank you for all the stuff you do. And we also have Logan Michael Anti-Funko Pops. Thank you very much. He says, we need a definitive Universal monster documentary. I think it's a fantastic idea, Logan Michael. The only hesitation I would ever have is, remember, this is going to be one of those secondary or tertiary source documentaries because the filmmakers are all dead. The actors, the doubles, they're all dead. I mean, I don't even know if the little girl in Frankenstein is still alive. How old would she be? Ancient. Let's say she was 7 years old. Frankenstein's, 1930? So we're talking 90 years ago when Frankenstein came out. I don't remember the exact year. But my point is, while I think it would be great, and I would definitely watch it if it had the right people, I think with a Universal monster documentary series, you might be relegated to people like a James Rolfe, and he would be on the lower end of celebrity, but you'd also have a lot of just people that grew up watching it. It would be impactful to talk about it from that point of view, but it's like having a Spider-Man documentary come out now, and Stan Lee's passed away, so there's nobody that really had their fingers on the creation. So maybe if they would have done something like that, and maybe in the 50s when these actors were still kind of working, it slowed down. Because the thing I like from the documentary that I was talking about, documentaries that I enjoy in general, like Tiger King, people there, they were there, they lived it. There's no recreations like a Dark Side of the Ring, which is a wrestling documentary series I watch. It's all one-to-one, and it's all important. Or not important, excuse me. It's all just one-to-one. Therefore, to me, it holds a little more weight, or it's just even the mundane shit. If you were there on the set, I'd rather hear you than something that's prepared from 12 other sources that I can read myself. But Logan Michael, while you're here, did you see that NECA had pre-order for the new Back to the Future figures, which I went ahead and got all of them. So, Logan Michael, if you haven't had a chance to check them out, check them out. If you haven't had a chance, watch this series. I can't recommend it enough. That is Jeff's recommendation for the day. Speaking of the day, let's talk a brief moment about something sad that happened. By the way, folks, if you're in the chat and you're enjoying the stream, hit me with a thumbs up to let me know you enjoy it. We'll be doing more of these streams. Obviously, we've been putting out more videos, and those have been reaching a lot of people. So we've had a big influx of new subscribers, so welcome to you all out there. But that doesn't mean we're going to forget about everyone that keeps this channel alive and afloat. You guys are all the pillars of the fandom menace, and we thank you. I'm going to have to check that out, Kara Companion, that you're in the Nancy or Heather Langenkamp's documentary on Nightmare on Elm Street. That'd be fun, too, because usually that series, Never Sleep Again. Ooh, Jesse, we'll watch that one day when we have an afternoon to kill. It's just on the Nightmare on Elm Street series, but it's cool because it's like all behind the scenes shit with everyone that was there. And Johnny Depp's not in it, but they use a clip of Johnny Depp talking about it too, so it's like the definitive documentary. But yes, Jerry Stiller passed away. This is the first piece of news I woke up to this morning. Now, I'm not a Jerry Stiller diehard fanatic. I did watch King of Queens when it was on. He was the best part. What's his name? Not Doug Heffernan. That's Kevin James. Kevin James has been hit and miss with me. I really don't have any thing to say about him in the light. Oh, he's so great. No, Paul Blart sucks. Paul Blart was a terrible movie, but Jerry Stiller was so funny, and Ben Stiller, obviously his son. That is one of those things where the next generation was funny, maybe funnier. Some would argue Ben Stiller's a different type of funny than Jerry Stiller, but. Yes, he was 92 years old. It's right in front of my face. And I know a lot of people like him from Seinfeld. I think he played, George's dad, right? And to me, one of the biggest missed opportunities for Jerry Stiller. Do you guys remember the Meet the Parents franchise? And yes, at one point in time, it was a franchise. It was a series. It was a trilogy. Ugh. Anyway, there's Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, and Little Fockers. And one of the biggest missed opportunities, in my opinion, was in Meet the Fockers and casting Dustin Hoffman as his dad. You should have had Jerry Stiller play his dad. It's his real life dad. His dad, Jerry Stiller, was very famous, and it would have been funnier too. So that to me was a big missed opportunity from that. Yeah, those movies are fun. I will say the first one reached a level that the other two couldn't reach. I remember catching Meet the Parents in theaters as a kid, actually. My mom and I went on a Sunday night. She's like, there's really nothing to do. You want to go see that Meet the Parents movie everyone's talking about? So we did. We loved it. I even taped it off of HBO. I caught it on one of those free movie weekends. And I watched it a bunch. And the last time I watched it was actually on my way back to Ohio, which was my last time traveling back to Ohio to live for a period of time. But, yeah, Arthur on King of Queens was definitely his definitive role, in my opinion. And may you rest in peace, Jerry Stiller. You were awesome. So, speaking of some fun stuff now, I don't care how you feel about celebrities. And for me, if a celebrity does something cool for charity, I dig it. And this was probably the funniest thing I've seen today. Jesse, listen to this. Bill Murray and Guy Fieri to compete in a nacho cook-off for charity. This is a real headline.
My money's on Bill.
My money's on Bill Murray as well. Flavor Town can only get you so far.
That's right.
Bill Murray is forever.
Bill Murray is timeless.
So,
Bill Murray, nacho champion.
if this is going to be, it's going to be streamed on the Facebook page of Food Network this week.
Cool. We're watching it.
So the Nacho Average Showdown event will stream on Food Network's Facebook page on May 15th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Is that Friday?
It might be Friday.
Cool. I was saying, if it was it was happening on Thursday, and it was happening when I was live, I would just straight up show it up. I'd be like, the live stream tonight is us watching this.
Yeah. We don't stream Fridays, so it'll be on Friday.
We'll sit and watch it.
It's going to be fun.
We should get nachos to watch it.
We should. Guess who the fucking judges are?
Because Alex Porter-Shelley, she's your favorite person.
Shaquille O'Neal and Terry Crews.
Perfect! Who better to judge the quality of nachos?
Yes.
I trust Shaq's opinion on nachos.
I trust Shaq's opinion on all food. The motherfucker looks like he can eat.
Crews is a pretty upfront guy.
I love Terry Crews. He seems like, of all the celebrities out there, he seems like a top 10 contender for somebody I could get along with in real life and actually have fun talking to.
Yeah.
Because he has life experience.
Seems legit.
He's a normal guy who's got a crazy career. But I just thought this was something funny and bizarre. I hope Bill Murray wins. My money is on Bill Murray because he pulls it out of nowhere. But yeah, let's see. People are laughing at this, so we're getting pretty good responses. Liquor Jim, thank you very much. He sent in a $10 super sticker. Let me pull up the other window so I can make sure that I'm checking that one out properly. Thank you, Liquor Jim. Long time to see. I'm going to go over to the P.O. box this week. I guarantee you, and I will go get the you sent the stuff we'll check out the stuff you sent us. Liquor Jim sends in a dancing cat with heart fans. I dig it. I've never seen that before. Is it a cat or is it a fox? I guess it's a fox because of the tail. Either way, Liquor Jim, I appreciate it, man. And I will be when I open the when I go to the P.O. box, I will be bringing back the video series, and we'll probably be putting that over on our secondary channel since it's going to be a longer form video, for algorithm's sake. We'll definitely, definitely be doing that again. So I don't know about you guys, but I can talk about nostalgia being lame, but it's also by the way, they're calling you the MVP from Saturday Night Mayhem with Mary Mayhem in the chat. So folks, I told you guys that 2020 was going to be a year where we tried to go out and travel and meet more people in the Fandom Menace. Well, because of the current pandemic, we can't. So what am I doing? I'm trying to branch out and appear on other channels, make new friends. Now, I can't call Mary Mayhem a new friend because her and I have been cool since we first spoke last year. I was on her channel. She's a very nice, very kind person. So she had Jesse and I on Mary Mayhem's Mayhem stream. Shenanigans. And it was awesome. You guys definitely need to check it out. We had the best part was the improv at the end. So it was Tom and Rob from Midnight's Edge After Dark. They did a improv of Cheech and Chong as stormtroopers. Cheech and Chong as stormtroopers getting grilled why they can't hit anything with their weapons. Mary's was she wanted to buy a dog to bang.
She was a furry going to buy a dog. And Kathleen the Wolf was the pet shop owner, the concerned pet shop owner.
Yes, and Jesse was an evil dictator, and I was her aide who couldn't say no for fear of being killed.
And I was trying to release the coronavirus.
And you were trying to release the coronavirus across the world. So it was a fantastic time. I recommend you guys check it out. Now, I don't even remember what my introduction was, but Ninja Turtles, the fucking movie, all right? Ninja Turtles from 1990. The crew is getting together to have a virtual pizza party. Now, this is cool to me. Now, there's not a lot of notable actors in the Ninja Turtles film. There's Lady that plays April. I think Eddie Reyes Jr. is one of the turtles under the suit, and Corey Feldman is the voice. So it really isn't a notable cast in terms of their filmography outside of it. But the Ninja Turtles film has power behind it. It's one of those things where everybody that grew up in a certain age group remembers Ninja Turtles. You're either like me who liked it, or you were a diehard fan, but you were aware of it. It was hard to not be aware of Ninja Turtles. The theme song, the iconic look, the turtle van, everything. Splinter, Shredder, Baxter Stockman. Everybody had some connection to that in the 1990s. And I think it's kind of cool that they're getting ready together. They're having a virtual pizza party, and they're going to watch the movie and all this stuff. It's one of those situations where I hate the current crisis and the shit we're going through, but if it gets us little bitty things like this, then I'm okay enough to watch this. Like, if it makes sense, like I hate it, but this stuff is cool. So what rises out of it is truly gold, and I'm very happy with that. Now, I want to know what you guys think about the. Let's see. You liked the first April. Do I rate the Human Centipede? I could if I've watched it, but I met the guy from the Human Centipede. He was creepy in person. Oh, Elias Codius was Casey Jones. My bad. I forgot that. Because he's the one that's kind of not. He doesn't license his likeness to the toys, so that's why you can't have whatchamacallit, Casey Jones, the figure with the removable mask. You get it just with the regular one. Let's see. TMNT 90 was the greatest. Hated that baseball Pizza Hut ad, though. I don't even remember that. You got to remember, I was born in '88, so I was not even 2 when the TMNT movie came out. I just remember catching it in the first grade on videotape and thinking it was awesome, and it was dark. And I think I liked it enough that we actually recorded the tape, cloned it or whatever, and I would watch it a little bit here and there. But as an adult, I go back. It's one of the better independent comic book films. And, I guess The Crow, you could put Ninja Turtles in the same category as The Crow, as a Spawn, not Blade, because those don't that comes from Marvel. That's a big one. Rocketeer, definitely. But you have this small, only in the 90s, really, you had this window of these independent comic book films that really have stood the test of time. TMNT, we're 30 years removed, people are still going on about it. Crow, maybe because of Brandon Lee's passing, has it achieved this iconic status, but nonetheless, it still has achieved that iconic status. And then you move to Spawn, which Spawn never went away. We can talk about how Todd McFarlane came and went, but he never really went anywhere. He went from being the hottest name in comics to the hottest name in toys, and he stayed that way. I mean, you want to talk about crowdfunding. He just crowdfunded $1 million action figure, one toy. It just ended yesterday, I believe. So, I mean, he's still relevant and he still holds a lot of weight in the industry. But my point I want to make is that decade it's a small window of when that was a possibility. And it's nice that, we had that as well. Mortal Kombat from the 90s. Such a fun movie. 90s video game movies are bad overall, except for Mortal Kombat. That movie kicked ass. So, what else do we have to talk about tonight? There's so much to talk about with so little time. I know, right? I'm excited. I'm so sad. Now, I do want to bring up something. Today, they dropped this Twilight Zone trailer, and we're not going to watch it. I don't really want to get into it now. We're going to save it more for the podcast this week. But CBS All Access offers so little in terms of original content that they're thinking about rebranding it. And I think one day it's just going to get lumped into another streaming service. Now, I'm not here to bitch about streaming services and their price and this and that. We've done it before. We've covered it with more tact. But briefly, I do want to say that just a continuation of things I dislike really don't get me excited to buy into a streaming service. I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan, so maybe I take this stuff a little too personally. But once you've reached that level of iconic status with the Twilight Zone, you really can't go anywhere but down. And we've seen that with the 80s show, which does have some gems. And then we have the Forrest Whitaker one, and I think it was 2002 was when that launched. That's lesser than that. And this one's lesser than the other. The only thing that this Twilight Zone series has, maybe even over the original, I don't even know if I'm going to go that far, is its presentation is nice. The episodes do look nice. But then again, modern technology allows that. There's a lower bar of entry. So I can't really go on about how great and beautiful this show is. But yeah, there's more of it. And I feel like the Twilight Zone should be treated with a level of respect. Oh, people are saying it's 90% Star Trek or garbage Star Trek. I'm not going to watch it. Nerve Clacks, as somebody who does share a similar background with Jordan Peele, I feel like you're right, though. The tone of his film is essentially that, and I don't get behind it. Now, I love the show Key and Peele. I thought Keanu was awesome, and I did notice the other day that in Weird Al's White Nerdy video, the two gangsters are Key and Peele. I never realized that until recently. But I don't get behind his a lot of his work these days. I feel like he's a one-note joke that people on the internet love, in the Twitter sphere, but it doesn't really translate over to everything. Surf Ninjas taught me you can play a Game Gear without a cartridge. Surf Ninjas is definitely in that weird category of 90s films that there's no reason to ever remake. Mad Mardigan, though, thank you very much for your generous super chat. He says, the first concert I went to was the TMNT coming out of their shells. You should check out the honest trailer for it. I will check out the honest trailer for it. Because Mad Mardigan, technically, by that accord, my first concert was the Power Ranger live action show. I think they had a song. It wasn't the same, but I think the Angry Video Game Nerd, Mad Mardigan, did a retrospective on the coming out of their shells tour. So I've definitely seen clips of it and the costumes and stuff. And it was a phenomenon back in the day, but I will check out the honest trailers for it because it'll be a nice truncated version to laugh at. But I don't know. I've said this before multiple times. I kind of pined for the days of the pure consumerism mentality over the ideology mentality. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, especially with Ninja Turtles. But it was just such a staple of all of our childhoods where, and I'm going to say all of ours, because even if you're a listener that's older than I am, and it's more than likely because I do look at our demographics for the channel, even as late as the 70s, or as early as the 70s, I guess you should say. But with Star Wars, you definitely had that consumer mentality of like, we're going to cover all bases, toys, toothbrushes, everything. And then it got a little bigger as we went on. Star Wars had the radio shows, Ninja Turtle has the arena tours and stuff like that. I don't know if it's nostalgia or it's just pining for something a little more pure. But those days where it's like, hey, how can we get the parents to open up their wallets is way less offensive than the shit they put on kids nowadays. Okay, so the nerd did do one. That was awesome. That was I love his video still. I did hear about Becky Lynch getting pregnant or being pregante. I do have I recorded the wrestling podcast for Patreon right before this show. So if you guys are patrons, I will have that on Patreon tomorrow. Kendo and I went for a while. We discussed that. We discussed Money in the Bank. We discussed Dark Side of the Ring. So if you like wrestling content, our Patreon is where we definitely cover it. And we usually film at WrestleMania, our trip. So we have last year's up. Next year's will be on Patreon as well. Yes, there's another season of The Twilight Zone coming out, folks. I'm so sorry. Care Companion, she did vacate the title, and she did leave. So you got what you wanted for. Or you got what you hoped for. I won't spoil it on air, just in case people care about Raw as War, or it's not even called Raw as War anymore. So I don't know if this is a good rabbit hole to go down on. Yeah, you don't go down on rabbit holes, but go down. But the Xbox Series X, I've noticed. I don't know if anyone follows IGN here in the chat, but I did see this past week how they're talking about lowering your expectations for the next generation of gaming. Let me pull up the article real quick. I don't think lowering your expectation is ever a good thing to sell. Their expectations, Xbox. Yeah, so IGN, I don't know if we got to cover this properly on the channel, but you may need to lower your expectations for next-gen graphics. And I keep hearing excuses. I keep hearing people say, well, the new load times are going to be so much better, or this, or that, or all of these changes in the way we consume games will make them better in the long run. Look, I'm not expecting photorealism one-to-one ever in my lifetime. The uncanny valley seems to be something that no one can properly traverse. There's always that slight difference. And I do like the idea of, gameplay first, or coming up with a cool hyper-realized or hyper-stylized version of a game. I get all those things. But if I'm also going to be paying a premium price of $500, $550, maybe even $600 for a gaming console, I need it to be more than just a slight upgrade of Xbox One games. I need it to be more than just a shinier version of Assassin's Creed, which is what we're looking to get right now. And personally, I hate that. And yes, wrestling with no audience is hard to watch, but I do hate the this slight upgrade with this threefold price increase. Now people are saying that we hit peak graphics in 2006. I don't know. The stuff that we achieved now, especially with Cyberpunk and some of those other games, those games look fantastic. And the only thing, like I said, that I will do with the next Xbox is definitely going to be more of a, hey, I missed out on all these Xbox games for this generation. I'm going to do that. Now, Amber Phoenix Fire, I don't know if I'm ever going to bite the bullet and join the PC gaming revolution. To me, it's too much work to
It's a big buy-in cost too to get the.
It's probably $2,500 to buy in. And let's be honest, folks, the shit I want to play, if it's on Xbox, yeah, it'll be on PC eventually. But I'm an exclusives guy over on PlayStation. You never get Spider-Man. You don't get, Streets of Rage. I don't think that's on PC. There's so many games that I want to play that will never be on a PC that I can never, ever justify a gaming PC in a million years. The only thing I would ever do with it is mod GTA or mod all these wrestling games or just mod shit and have fun with it. And be $3,000 to put The Rock in a wrestling game that he wasn't in. That's kind of a waste of money. I'd rather buy a game console and just play shit that I will have fun. But I'm not really, I'm not here to shit on anything today. I'm excited. A ray tracing mirrors every surface in the games. Okay, Lokta. By the way, welcome back. I haven't heard from you in a while. It's cool. It is cool. I dig that. And I wasn't one of those people that thought last gen sucked. I thought last gen offered a lot of fun stuff. I enjoyed Spider-Man, which I keep talking about. Red Dead was awesome. I've enjoyed a lot of games on this current gen of consoles. But also, I am ready to move on because I passed on the Xbox. The PlayStation, I didn't buy, I bought almost all the big games for that system. But I think basically this next gen is for me to come back into the Microsoft fold and experience those games. Oh, Streets of Rage 4 is on PC. Okay, I stand corrected. I did get it for the Switch this past weekend. Jesse and I have yet to play it, but that does mean I'm going to launch our Twitch channel a little earlier than expected. So be prepared to... Oh. Well, thank you, CC Ateni 28 or C Canteni 28. I appreciate the help. If anybody wants to help with gaming PC stuff, just email us worldclassbs@mail.com, thebestmail.com. And we just bought a gaming laptop today. I'm running on an old laptop with an i7 processor, or a Core i7 7th gen. So not really the newest piece of hardware, but it does what I need it mostly. PS4 Spider-Man was cucked. How so? Do you mean in regards to the Miles Morales Mary Jane gameplay? Because I hated those. I'm not going to act like they were great. The core Spider-Man gameplay, the Peter Parker story, all of that stuff was excellent. And maybe I like it so much because in an era where Tom Holland and all this other bastardized Spider-Man stuff is the lauded Spider-Man, to have something that was more of a callback was nice. So I enjoyed it for that era. Or for that aspect, excuse me. And it was great to look at. The gameplay was perfect. That's a game that I'll probably play on PS5 again. And then they'll put out part 2. And it'd be even nicer to do, if you want to talk about backwards compatibility, if you're on PS5, make it to where you can have part 1 and 2 become one big game. And you can, just kind of play into the world and have that big New York and then have that big, indoor aspect and all that shit. It'd be fun. See, they made Trump Fisk Towers. I do remember that. I don't remember that. I don't know. It's been a while. I haven't played it in like 7 months. So let's see. Headcase Laboratory. You can't message us on Twitter. You know what? Do me a favor. Tag me in a post and I'll start following you. And then you should be able to message me because I would like to read your comic. So let's see. Yeah, I will. I'll find a way. Yeah, just like that. There we go. How much memory on the disc? Blah, blah, blah. So, I feel like even though we kind of went at a breakneck speed, we covered almost everything we needed to cover for Fandom Menace tonight. I do want to mention this piece of news since I've been listening to a podcast about James Cameron. Avatar 2 will still make its 2021 release date despite the coronavirus delay, according to James Cameron. Now, I once knew a very foolish man who made a financial bet that Avatar 2 would never come out to the tune of what, $50? Was it, Jesse? Did Dion bet you $50 Avatar 2 is never going to get made?
Was
$100 or $50 or $100 bet. I was making sure it just wasn't 20. But it's either $50 or $100 that Dion bet, Jesse, that Avatar 2 was never going to come out.
Let's go with 100 because I want to make $100.
$100 it is.
I'm pretty sure it was because it was enough to. I remember being like, I'm gonna fucking take Jeff out to dinner and I'll take your ass too. It was enough that would have covered like
3 people to dinner.
3 people to dinner. Yeah.
So the Avatar sequel has been in the works for so long it feels like they are in a perpetual state of delay. But things are looking up for James Cameron's ambitious movie follow-up. Anyway, I'm just trying to find a quote. Sorry, folks. Here we go. On the bright side, New Zealand seems to have been very effective in controlling the virus, and their goal is not mitigation, but eradication, which they believe, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, Avatar 2 is not getting delayed.
New Zealand also has retarded world population density, so they have
those things to work with.
They can track easily, eradicate easily.
Sorry, Juanar. Didn't mean to scroll down. But I do want to say that Avatar 2, no matter how much hype the media builds for it, it feels like it's too late. I mean, we're talking about, yes, Avatar made all that money over 10 years ago. It didn't have any cultural footprint. The only thing that people really remember for it is the 3D films that came out in the the rise of the 3D film, where they tried to constantly cash in on that. It's like, oh, you want to see this movie? See it in 3D for $10 extra. And so the box office folks made more money, but movies were just like, that was their thing. And the 3D sucked. I saw Clash of the Titans, the remake in 3D. It sucked. I think I even saw Battleship in 3D, and that didn't do anything. So I've never really seen a 3D film that blew me away because of its 3D whatever. That's why I've given up on them. I've gone, if I'm going to see it big, I'll see it in IMAX or, one of those Dolby screens that they have. Other than that, I'm not dropping the money. And I think that this film will never tell Jesse to never let Dion forget he lost that bet. Oh, Dion will never forget. Dion will never forget. But I do think Avatar is a dated film that really doesn't have any right to exist anymore. And I know that sounds really harsh, but I am talking about a film here. But Avatar just wasn't the film that the media likes to make it out to be. It made money. It's like The Force Awakens. It was successful, but it doesn't mean it was great. I don't see anything great coming from Avatar 2. What are we going to get? Smell-o-vision? Underwater immersive experiences? Look at James Cameron. I respect him as a filmmaker. I don't think he's the best filmmaker ever. I think his films are in a different category than a Spielberg, than a Lucas, than a motorcycle outside of the apartment at 8 o'clock at night. The point I want to make with James Cameron. His movies are great, but sometimes feel, I don't want to say lesser, but he has an edge to him that when he lost, or he had an edge that once he lost, I feel like he became, I don't want to say too commercial because that sounds like I'm trying to be edgy, but when James Cameron is making, Terminator 1 and 2, True Lies, there was this like edginess to his filmmaking. Then when you get to Titanic, and then I guess after Titanic, his next film was Avatar, right? He didn't do anything between Titanic and Avatar? I'll look it up. But I just, he became that James Cameron. And I don't necessarily like that James Cameron. So let's see. James Cameron, Titanic, then Avatar. Shit, okay. It's a big gap.
He directed Ghosts of the Abyss and Aliens of the Deep in between.
What the hell are those?
I don't know, but it's on his filmography.
Oh, well.
Yeah, as a director. Ghosts of the Abyss, which is a 2003 American documentary film.
Oh, it's a documentary.
And then Aliens of the Deep is another. So he did that for like IMAX. They're both with Disney, but it sounds like these are probably both those like. The second one was IMAX. That's definitely like, whatchamacallit, one of those movie theater IMAX at the museum ones, like museum IMAX theater.
Omnimax is what we called them back home. Those are fun, but I don't consider those real films.
Sure, they weren't Hollywood.
Yeah, they weren't Hollywood movies, but yeah, he had that big gap, and I just don't think James Cameron. I'm not saying he can't make a big hit. I just think Avatar, like, dude, you're making a franchise out of something that is basically a tech demo for what we can do with the most money possible. This isn't T2 that's telling a finale to a really great story you built up, 8 years earlier. Wait, no, not 8 years, 7 years earlier. So I just don't think corporate entity James Cameron. I just don't think there's much to do with Avatar. If you're trying to blend education and entertainment, this edutainment weird hybrid, I get it. I know there's a place for it, but they're trying to cash in on this brand that is Avatar that has never been a brand to cash in on. It flopped at the merchandise flopped 10 years ago when it came out. When I do my dollar store videos for Star Wars toys, there are Avatar Halloween costumes still on the shelves. And those aren't new. That's the shit they made for the movie, 10 years ago. and they're trying to just bring it back out and sell it eventually. But it's a phenomenon that I don't think will ever happen again. Because if you look at all the other multi-billion-dollar grossing films, they're part of a franchise, they're part of an existing IP. Marvel movies may slow down, but there'll always be a Marvel brand out there, be it comics, underoos, trading cards, Christmas cards, business cards, any kind of card you need, Marvel will make it. My point is, Avatar will not stick around, and I don't think it's aged well. I actually don't think the movie was ever that good, but hey, that's me. You want to talk about a movie that has not aged well? Star Trek 2009, unwatchable because the camera shake and lens flares destroys good cinematography and quality image for Flash. Matthew, I would like to go back and watch that film because I'm one of those people in the fandom menace that isn't so angry towards the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. The first one was fine, and the second one that I remember was fine. And I hated the third one, which technically was James Wan, right? Abrams didn't direct the third one. I thought the third one sucked. Star Trek Beyond is the worst of the modern Star Trek films, in my opinion. But with that in mind, I also don't have the strong aversion to it. I don't get sick thinking about it. I'm not angry about this and that. I think Into Darkness is lazy, especially with the Khan revelation. I almost said a realization. But overall, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I should go back and watch it because I remember liking it a lot. I think I liked it so much when it first came out that I was trying to watch it on a bullshit bootleg website, and I decided to either go see it in theaters or buy it when it first hit Blu-ray. I know I eventually bought it because I own the disc, but I don't remember hating it so much. I know a lot of people think it's, to be a part of the Phantom Menace, you have to hate that movie, but it's okay. I think Chris Pine adds something. I think the core cast, especially Carl Urban's an underrated actor. If we can just talk about how great Carl Urban is for a minute. He's great as Dredd. He's great in The Boys. He's great as Bones McCoy. I've never seen... Oh, he's in Lord of the Rings? I've never seen Carl Urban in something where I go, Carl Urban, you suck. He's always a welcomed addition, and he's always bringing his A game. I have nothing but respect for Carl Urban. I haven't seen Alita Battle Angel, folks. I do own like 8 copies of the disc from a fan. I should go back and watch it.
It's good.
Let's see. I'm just reading the chat's really into this James Cameron Avatar talk. What?
Our cat's stinkier.
Shit pancake does stink. He smells like shit. He was in Ragnarok. Was he in Ragnarok? Yes, he was. Carl Urban was not Vindicator. That's not his name. Yeah, I can see him with the AR-33 or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, he was great. Is not Enchantress because she's not in the movie. Hella sidekick.
The people that all of the super chats tonight on my channel are going to go towards fixing the shit pancakes stinkier.
Okay. Let's see. Carl Urban is Doxy Mama's 82. Doxy Mama 82's choice for a gorgeous hunk of a man. Says, "Go big boy, go home." By the way, folks, over on Mindless Entertainment tonight, Jesse's going to use her Boba Fett super chat money to fix shit pancake stinky ears. So if you're feeling generous, there you go. But I will be over there in a few moments. I think I'm going to kind of call this show a little early tonight, folks, so I can get prepared for the debate because I don't want to lose. I kind of want to bring my A game and get prepared. So if you're thinking to yourself, Jeff, why not an extra 22 minutes to the show? Guess what? You're going to get an extra 3 hours. Okay, not 3. An extra 2 hours of me over on that channel. So all you got to do is follow the link in the chat right now, and I will be there on camera to debate Boba Fett. What do we call it? Saint or Sinner?
Savior or Satan?
Savior or Satan? Boba Fett edition. Sorry. The reason I called it an AR-33 is because it's called an AR-33 assault rifle in GoldenEye, the video game. So I'm sure there's no RCP-90 or Klob or Walther PP or the PP-7. I know gun names from GoldenEye, and I couldn't think of what it was called. So I was like, wait, an AR-33 assault rifle, commonly found in the later stages of the game because all the Yana Syndicate guys use those, especially in the jungle. So I will say hi to my mom for me, action figure expert. Thank you very much, folks. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow night with the High Council. We'll be covering stuff. It's going to be a great show. Working on getting a special guest. And I'll be over on Mindless Entertainment in about 10 minutes. So you can join us over there. The link is in the chat. Boba Fett, Satan, or whatever, Savior or Satan, a debate. It's going to be a good time. So from all of us here at World Class Bullshitters, thank you, folks. And as always, be excellent to